Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Clark, and I'm Executive Director of the Granny Basketball League, and I'm just really pleased to welcome you. We've had a lot of contact since the beginning of the year from women far and wide, as you can tell from the attendance on our call, everywhere from Western Canada to Eastland, Texas, Omaha, Nebraska, Richmond, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Seattle, Washington. I mean, just great to have you all here on the call. And I know there's some others that could not join us tonight, so we're recording this so we can share the information with them at a convenient time. So I'd like to introduce others on the call with us today. We have Jim Noblock, who is our Director of Development, our one man on the call so far today. Hi, Jim.
Glad to be with you.
Great. And we have Patty Denton, who's our treasurer and new board member. So this is great information for her too, just kind of go through an orientation to the league, et cetera. Patty's just been doing a terrific job in her new role, and we really appreciate Patty joining us today. I think we'll also have a couple of other board members hop on when they can. Let me see. I believe we may see our president, Georgia Jones, and Leanne Scudder, who is our director of engagement. They may hop on here in a few minutes if you see them come on. And then also we have Linda Turper, who is our state coordinator for Texas. And Linda has been in the league since just about day one, is the sister of the founder from Iowa, and just has so much experience. We've got a lot of new teams that have formed in Texas, and Linda helps a lot of teams in that regard in terms of getting started. And she'll just be a wealth of resources for us, I think, tonight as we talk about new teams. Linda, would you like to say hi?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all from all over the place.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of said hello to everyone. If you received an email maybe just an hour or two ago that had a handout, and I just put together a few slides that I thought we might walk through together in terms of an introduction, and then we'll pause for questions, and then towards the end we'll kind of talk a little bit about how to start a new team. And I think everyone on this call is pretty much in an area where a new team would be new, and you may be kind of the first one to get something going in your area. So we can definitely address that. And I will say that I've had that experience twice. I started Granny Basketball in 2011, and I was working in Jefferson City, Missouri. And I had a coworker approach me as I came off the elevator and asked me if I was 50 years old yet. And I said, yes. She said, oh, good, you can play basketball with us. And I'm just kind of floored at, oh my gosh, a chance to play basketball again. I haven't played since high school. I was a Title IX girl, a 1975 high school graduate, and all of a sudden our high school had a full court girls basketball team. And so we were in the process of starting 3 brand new teams in Jefferson City, Missouri. They're all still going strong. But a year after I joined the Missouri League and helped get that started, I moved to Kansas, and there were absolutely no teams in Kansas. And so now we have 11 teams in Kansas. So you just got to get started somewhere. And I kind of have the philosophy, if it is to be, it is up to me. And I kind of knew what it took, and started in Lawrence, Kansas, where Dr. Naismith was very well known for bringing the game of basketball to Kansas, University of Kansas, et cetera. So a lot of history there. But anyway, we'll go through, just kind of introduce the league. I think some of you have already seen a lot of information on site or in the news or on our website, et cetera. But we'll just walk through. Any comments before we get started? Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get there just a second. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, can you see our title slide? Granny Basketball League, old-fashioned 6-on-6 basketball.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So just wanted to introduce, we're a nonprofit organization. Want to introduce our board of directors. We have 9 board members spearheading the league. And you'll see Jim's on there, Patty, myself, Georgia and Leanne may join us here in a little bit. Everyone else was tied up tonight, but certainly send their regards. So basically, the Granny Basketball League was created back in 2005 was when the first games were played, and the idea for Granny Basketball was created to create fun, competitive exercise for women age 50 or over, provide an avenue for charitable giving, provide wholesome, nostalgic, sometimes humorous entertainment, recognition for mature women, and a method of preserving the history of 6-on-6 basketball. And I just can say from the heart that every single one of those items are very, very true and very, very much a part of Granny Basketball. So it's really our mission as a nonprofit organization, and it manifests itself in a variety of ways, and we can talk about some of those here as we go forward. So many of you may know we play 6-on-6, and basically the court is divided into 3 sections or zones where 2 players on each team is positioned in each, and only forwards may shoot. We only have 2 dribbles before you can shoot or pass. There's no running or jumping, although players may hurry. There's no physical contact. Infractions constitute a foul. Or the rules say there's no physical contact. Everyone's supposed to kind of keep a 3-inch zone between them and the other players, kind of like your force field all the way from the floor to the ceiling. And then there's only 3 fouls that a player can earn before they're disqualified from playing in the rest of the game. The clock pretty much runs. We have 4 8-minute quarters, and it just pretty much runs unless there's a timeout or an injury, a fall, or if there's a foul and there's free throws. Back in 1920, there was no 3-point line. So we have a lot of fun being Granny Basketball. A 3-point basket is earned if a shot is made underhanded. And then the rest of the points are made just like regular basketball, with a field goal being 2 points and a free throw being 1 point each. There's no time restriction in the free throw lane. We've had some discussions about whether there should be or not, but there wasn't back in the 1920 rules. So we don't need to, the older players don't have to bustle in and out of the paint so much. They can just focus on their movements and not worry about time. And there's no hovering or impeding progress. And I've got a slide we can look at here in a little bit, kind of demonstrates that. So we have a whole rule book. It's not too big. We usually use, for things we don't address in our rule book, we use standard high school basketball rules like traveling, et cetera, like that. So one of the key things about our league is that our uniforms resemble those worn by women players a century ago. So let's talk about the uniform. And actually, if this is a no-go for you, then we could probably go ahead and log off, because the uniforms are very much a part of the league. It's part of our trademark. The bloomers, and I don't know, Linda, I don't want to put you on the spot, but Linda's done a lot of research about about the freedom dress, and being a way to promote better health for women. I don't know, Linda, if you want to talk a little bit about the bloomers.
Well, I can say a few words. Yeah, there's maybe you've run into it. There's an essay that I wrote that's online about bloomers. And yeah, we had some people on our team actually who aren't on our team anymore, but they had a fit about the bloomers, and they thought they were too, what did they say? I can't even remember. But so that's why I went into the research about it, because it was actually a matter of freedom for women in those days because they had different stays in their rib cage. Like how could you even bend over to sweep or play basketball for that matter? And so it was called the freedom dress because they could move around. They could move around being bikers, or as it turns out, that's about the time that basketball started to become popular. And so women wore bloomers, and it was usually, I think it started in on a college team, and they were men weren't permitted to be in the gym when the women even had bloomers on for a while. But it gradually grew so that it was acceptable. And then, the bloomers got shorter and shorter until we had shorts. So that's kind of how those came about for us in those days.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the essay, I think there's a link to it on our homepage in the right margin, and appreciate Linda pulling that information together. So everyone has the same uniform. They're homemade. Basically, we have a seamstress who makes the bloomers and the collars. You can see the sailor collar with the numbers. Each team is identifiable by their socks. So we have some wild and crazy socks and some other socks that are real plain, like the Toronto Chill has solid white socks, and I assume that's to represent snow. So, but no one else has solid white socks. So the socks are a way to identify your team. And then there's also one of the fouls I didn't mention earlier is if is a flash foul. And sometimes, like when you have your arms up, if someone doesn't have a cami underneath their top, or if their shirt's not long enough and you see a little flash, or if your bloomer's right up and you see a little knee showing, it's the dreaded flash foul, which is a technical foul. And we have a lot of fun with that that is one free throw for the other team. And you can only be called for a flash foul once per game. So that's something unique about the Granny basketball rules. So just a few things about what the league, what key features the league includes. And this is not a comprehensive list, but just some of the main things I thought would be good to share with you all tonight. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and it has structures and policies and advisory board and all of that, and committees, etc. We do have the trademark in both the USA and in Canada for Granny basketball. We have 1920 style 6-on-6 basketball is a gentler style of play. And I don't know if any of you have played 3-on-3, like in senior games or just in a local league. Here in Kansas, where I am, at the Kansas Senior Games, we have the Granny basketball tournament. I think we've had it in the Senior Games for about 7 or 8 years now. Mm-hmm. But one day would be Granny basketball, and then the next day would be 3-on-3. And I tell you what, watching the 3-on-3 game is a huge, especially for ladies of our age, is a huge appreciation for the style of play that Granny basketball is. It's we really have an emphasis on safety and playing a gentler way. Some of the gals that come in to play 3-on-3 with in the tournament is just a knockdown drag out. And it's not fun to me. It's just not fun. We also have official rules. We have a pretty short rule book, and there's a link to the rules in the how to start a team checklist that you have. So you can take a look at the rules. We also have a certified Granny basketball referee program. So really we home grow our own referees. So if you think about those on your team, spouses, friends, kids, what have you, or ladies who are too young to play just yet, they could be referees. We need at least 3 on each team. And we do have, the way our rules are and not allowing rough play, I think has been tried before, just have regular referees come in but just doesn't work to allow roughness. So we really do train our referees to call a fair game and make sure the rules are followed. We also have training and forms for scorekeepers. The way that Granny Basketball is, we have our own scorekeeping form. We also have awards and recognition program. We have league and tournament play. We'll talk about the tournaments in a little bit. Opportunities to benefit charities and have special experiences. We also provide insurance coverage for all of our teams that are officially in the league, our website, social media sites, and then the ability to make many new friends, have lots of fun, and much more. So I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff there, but those are just some of the key things that came to my mind. Okay. Okay, so what are Granny basketball players like? I kind of got a little list here. I don't know if the founder made up this list, but I thought I'd share it with you. Basically, we're pleasantly competitive, which means we like to win, but think it's more important to play and have fun. Grannies are kind and considerate, helping each other out. They tell the ref who hit the ball out of bounds and tend to apologize for fouling, whether it's called by the referee or not. We cut each other slack. We're old and don't always remember stuff like where and when practice is, or if we remember to tell everyone about practice. We laugh a lot and think everything, including stress and continence, is funny. Dribbling has a whole new meaning for some of us. We lend each other equipment and share resources. We stay at each other's houses on trips and sleep with each other in motels. We throw the ball gently to players with limited abilities and allow them extra time to maneuver. And we sometimes mix and match players and negotiate borrowing players, et cetera, in a friendly manner. So anyway, it's a pretty good group of gals. This is an old picture of a variety of the socks that I mentioned for some of the teams. We tried to get a new picture of socks at our national tournament this summer, but I think there are a lot of pictures taken, but we haven't found, no one's provided us with a picture yet. Okay. So this is my friend Pam. She was on another team here in the Lawrence area, but we really strongly discourage rough tactics. And quite honestly, I think the most often time I see falls or injuries are brand new players. And I know I felt that way when I first got out on the court after, I hadn't been out on the court like that since high school, really, but just so excited to be out there. And so in my mind, I'm in the high school, but in my body, I'm 50 plus years old or have played more aggressively and coached to play more aggressively at a younger age. So trying to get that out of your game, like elbows and hand checking and things like that. Those are some of the things that we really need to try to untrain. And jumping is another big one. For jumping when you shoot, that's another, or rebounding. It's kind of hard to unlearn some of that. So while the brand new people who've never played basketball before have a lot to learn, there's also a lot to unlearn by the experienced basketball people, if that makes sense. I don't know. Linda, do you see some of that with the new players?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of the first thing that happens is usually the first game of a new person, they usually foul out because, or, they know that they're responsible for turnovers and they feel bad about it. So actually that corrects itself pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a new thing to, just the whole thing of body contact and everything. But it has to be learned because we do want we want to be safe. So
definitely. Yeah, that's a key thing. All right. Well, so for those of you who like data, here's a little bit of information I pulled together. Actually, these are 2025 league factoids. I haven't updated the headline on there. But as of March 1st, we have a new record of 675 players in our league. Our oldest player will be 95 in 2 days, Mariah Eaton with the Iowa Gold Stars near Des Moines. And then here's a little breakdown of the ages of the ladies who play. So we have 4 ladies in their 90s, 29 in their 80s, 171 in their 70s. So you can see that with 323 in their 60s, that's the majority of our players are right there. So our 60s pretty much are half of our league, pretty close to it. We have another player who is just turned 93 in Lawrence, Kansas, Pat Connor. So we continue to grow. It's pretty much organic. I mean, we're really not out recruiting new teams so much, but we get people hear about Granny basketball and ask us about it. So like yourselves. We have continued to grow. We now have 52 teams in 10 states. We're not in every state, not in every, it's kind of in certain spots. So I think most everyone here on the call is in an area where we don't have teams already. So it's a nice opportunity to get your state on the map and get Granny basketball going. We also had last year in January of 2024, we welcomed our very first multinational team in Toronto to the league. So we changed our insurance. Our insurance now covers both Canada and USA teams. And then here's another visual for you in terms of number of teams we have and number of players each year. When I joined the league in 2013, I think there were about 18 teams. So it's really picked up the pace in the last decade in terms of growth. And you can see there was a little dip during COVID, but we still were going strong with over 400 players even during COVID. All right, so here's kind of a visual. This map is on our website. If you go to Teams and look at a map view, and then you kind of drill down a little closer if you want to, but it's kind of right through the center of the USA. I kind of call it the I-35 corridor, and we kind of leapfrog a little bit in terms of playing games. Like we'll meet in Des Moines, Iowa, and some of the teams from Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas will meet in Des Moines, or we'll play in Kansas, or the Nationals will be in Texas this year. Linda mentioned earlier before the call started, a team from California went to the Phoenix, Arizona area in Casa Grande to play a couple of league games there. So we've got some ladies who really do like to travel. I'm going to go to Toronto in a couple of weeks to meet all the ladies up at the Toronto Chill team and help with a fundraiser and maybe help with the certification of a referee or two up there. So, and then another look at our map is we have taken the nation and have created divisions. So we have divisions, and we don't have Calgary on there yet, but we could get it added. But we don't have any teams in the yellow section in the southeast, but we have a placeholder in case that there's some interest. I know Virginia's on the call today. And then we also have Toronto in the Northeast, in the Great Lakes division. That's the only team in the Great Lakes division. But if Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois were to join, they would all be in the same division. Southern division's really grown a lot. And in fact, we had to split it up. Kansas and Missouri are now a central division. That's a new division. We don't have any teams in Nebraska yet, but if we do get one in Omaha and elsewhere, they would be a part of the Western Division. And since we already had a Western Division, the whole left side, the western side of the United States is the Frontier Division. We've had a suggestion to change the name of that, but right now it's just the Frontier Division. We have 3 teams in California and 1 in the Casa Grande area in Arizona. So that's kind of where we are and how we have our divisions. Any questions so far? Okay, moving on. So grading basketball really feels a need for ladies age 50 and over. And I am just blown away, honestly, with how much play. I had no idea when I became older how much I'm playing more. I'm playing more now than I think I ever did as a kid. I don't know if some of you have felt that way that have been playing, but it really is a lot of fun. There, there are other sports, but a team sport really is unique, I think, for ladies of a certain age. Um, and then granny basketball emphasizes safety in a competitive environment, which also expands the number of people to which it appeals. And the league is very unique in creating opportunity for athletic competition while also educating about the history of women's sports and providing support to community organizations. The league is when you have a new team and join the league, we provide standards and structures for all the players and teams. We have board liaisons, coordinators, and area teams that can provide guidance and support. And it's also an avenue for charitable giving. And I am just overwhelmed sometimes at the creativity and enthusiasm that is on display with the teams and their local organizations that they benefit. There's often, say, a fundraising exhibition game with local celebrities and a local granny basketball team. There have been a wide variety of ways that teams have done things to benefit different charities. There's a page on our website under Want to Play, and it's around donors, charity and donors, I believe. And there's a list of links to news stories about different fundraising events that teams have done. So it kind of gives you a flavor for the activities that teams do. But I don't have the numbers for our most recent year completed, 2024, but in 2023, more than $28,000 were raised by teams for community charities. And we had our national tournament is also another huge fundraising effort. So we'll be doing that again this year. So anyway, it just benefits the whole community. The picture that you're seeing, the big picture you're seeing on that screen is kind of a strange view of our granny circle. We have a granny circle that we like to do. We have a sing along granny hymn and some other songs that we like to do, give announcements, etc. But our circle is getting larger and larger. Now, I mentioned our national tournament. It will be held July 11th through 13th in Fort Worth, Texas. It would be possible, I think, to possibly get a team together and come. We do have 3 divisions. We have a championship division, which are the teams that are pretty good and they're vying for the national championship. We also have on the other spectrum, end of the spectrum, we have the Off Our Rockers division, which is for beginning new teams and recreational, less competitive teams. And then we have a middle division, the Hotsy Totsy division, which is kind of for the middle of the road teams. They're not going to be able to compete with the really good teams, but would probably be much better than the new teams, et cetera. So we kind of put organized teams in their abilities. But we'll have probably 24 teams or more come to nationals again this year. And we'll be doing fundraising activities. And then in 2026, our nationals will be in July in Ankeny, Iowa. So that's what's on tap. We also, Granny Basketball also are events in 2 of the state senior games in Iowa and Kansas. So in Des Moines, it's each June, Topeka each September. And we don't have the different divisions in these tournaments, but only at nationals. But this is a nice way if you're not ready for nationals but want to come to, say, Topeka in September, it'd be a nice way to kind of get into the game and get some good experience. We also have tournaments. Linda, in Texas, the Red River Rivalry tournament between Texas and Oklahoma is going on. Isn't that coming up here pretty soon, the end of the month or something?
Yeah, it's coming up not this Saturday, but the next Saturday.
Next weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really not Texas versus Oklahoma. It's just everybody's kind of scrambled in together. And
Okay.
so, but we do include Oklahoma because they're the closest.
Mhm. Does Louisiana come too? There's a team in Louisiana as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They've been coming to some of the ones that we've had in Conroe. So they usually try to make it, and sometimes they don't have a full load of people that they'd like to have, but people help them out by, playing in the center and stuff.
Yeah.
So that works out because we do want to include them.
All right. And we also have an awards and recognition program. Just thought I'd mention it. We have a Most Valuable Granny Award, and Gina Smith is our current MVG with Iowa Gold Stars. We also have a fairly new award called the Most Valuable Volunteer Award. And Bill Nation is a longtime board member and coach for the Harpers Ferry Fireflies and does a great deal for the league. We also have an exemplary team award for the teams that just exemplify the whole package of being a Granny basketball team. And the Iowa Gold Stars near Des Moines are our current exemplary team. And then we also have an Iron Woman Award that is presented to someone who has really endured and overcome hardships and still, continuing to be involved in the Granny Basketball League. So there are so many candidates for all of these awards, but it's really nice to be able to recognize teams and individuals.
And Michelle, I might mention that the MVG award is not an athletic award, it's a service award.
Yes. Yes. It's not like who scored the most points or anything like that. It's someone who really contributes a lot to the league and it makes the league a better place for everybody, type of thing. Okay. And we also have service awards. So like we have a 5-year pin, a 10-year pin, a 15-year pin, and now we've had our 20th anniversary. So we'll be giving out 20-year pins this year. So it's kind of nice. We have a letter G. So the first year that you have for players, they'll get a fleece letter. And you can put that on a jacket or a bag or however you'd like to do that. And still have my letter and I have my letter jacket. I just haven't put them together yet. You get a needle and thread out. All right. So I'll pause there. That's kind of a quick run through of the league. Any questions about the league? And we'll go into starting a new team here in just a minute.
Michelle, is there an age limit on officials? Like I have a couple of girls at my school who are just really excited to be officials. So
Well,
if we
they
get this
just
started,
need to be at least 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah. So we can't have the minors.
Okay.
But and everyone does when they register, players and volunteers. We have a waiver and let me try and say it, indemnification waiver. And then we also have a non-discrimination and sportsmanship statement that we ask everyone to acknowledge when they register. But they do need to be 18. But
Right.
I guess right now our oldest is 95. So there's no top limit.
And is there a like a season, or is this like a year round?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, so it kind of depends on where you are. And I think that the culture and the way it works is kind of dependent on where you are. So I'll kind of run through our states a little bit. So Texas is southern and the weather's great. I mean, even in January. And so, and Linda could talk about this a little bit, but games pretty much start in January and run through April or May.
Yeah, May.
And then in Kansas, Oklahoma, I would say maybe some Oklahoma teams might travel to Texas a little bit and play in January, but we usually start practices in January and then start league games and have league games February, March, and April. And then May is kind of a catch up month if there was some snow outs or cancellations or something. But you have Mother's Day graduations and all that stuff. So we kind of avoid May. And then the postseason pretty much starts in June, which would be like the Iowa Senior Games, national tournament in July, Kansas Senior Games in September, and then kind of a lot of fundraising events, things like that happen year round, but a lot of it happens in the fall. Teams also can recruit with learn to plays. And so, like each fall, like around in our area, we'll do learn to plays to recruit new players and then get them on board to start the new season with the new year. In Iowa, the further north you go, I think they just started their league games in March and will go a couple months. And then if you go west, like sunny Arizona, with all the snowbirds, I think their team is comprised of quite a few snowbirds. Like they kind of get started in November while everyone's there and play. So they'll be done probably, everyone leaves to go home when spring comes. So their season is just kind of what it is there. Like they practice every week, et cetera. And then they're planning to come to nationals. They just had a league game, inviting a California team to come down and play. They're both fairly new teams. There are some places where there's not really a whole lot of other teams. So like Louisiana is one. I'm not real sure. They don't have just a whole lot of players, but they've been in the league for a very long time. They come to nationals every year, rain or shine. But they have started coming now that there are some teams in the Houston area. They've been traveling a little bit and playing some league games there. I'm sure they're just practicing among themselves. In Toronto, really don't have a league season just yet, but they are pulling together just a really great group of gals, and they're enjoying practicing every week. And hopefully there'll be enough interest that they could get a second or third team started soon. And really, it works really great when you have three teams, because two teams can play while the other team provides officials, referees and scorekeepers, or extra players if you needed to borrow a couple. So that works really well if you can get up to three teams in your area. That's a great place to be.
Mhm.
And then, sorry, to ask some of my questions. How is the like the scheduling done? Like, as an athletic director, like we have within our league, we have a matrix of who plays who when and all of that. Is it just sort of, hey, Oklahoma, Seattle team would love to come out and play you guys? Like, how does that work?
That's a great question. And I will say, we do play league games. So they're official league games, but honestly, the standings, no one gets a prize or a trophy for, having being undefeated in a season or anything like that. We just put schedules together to play. I was really impressed with how the Texas teams come together, and I know there's a lot of teams there to do their scheduling. So Linda, if you want to describe how you all do it, and then I could describe how some other areas do it if you'd like.
Okay, sure. We meet in October. All the Texas teams come to Georgetown, Texas. That Georgetown is kind of in the middle of all the teams because we go from north, where the Fort Worth Heifers are, down south to Houston. So that's our operating area. But everybody is very is happy to do that so far, and we have a meeting that lasts probably 3 or 4 hours, because that's when we set our schedule. It's when we share information about our team and that sort of thing. But back to sharing the schedule. So what we do is just we go around the tables, and we try to emphasize this year, and it's worked out really well. We've been heading toward this anyway, is having multiple games in one day on a Saturday. That way, you don't have to travel 3 hours and just play 2 games, north of us or something like that. So we often will have multiple game day, which means that anywhere from 5 to maybe 8 teams will play that day. We can do that because the facilities are that we have at least 2 gyms where we can schedule that in. But when you're just starting out, you know, we we were in the situation where for years it was just the fire ants in Georgetown and the Old Glories that were about an hour away, and we actually had to ref our own games for about a year until we got more people joining the league or more teams joining the league. But that's where we do most of our business is on Saturday, that Saturday in October. We set our schedule and we also communicate with Oklahoma so that they'll know when our games are, and they're invited to some of the games probably further north in Fort Worth and in Waco. But it seems to work out really well that way. So we have everything formed by the time the meeting is over, and pretty much the schedule for the whole season from, as Michelle said, January until, well, I think our last game is like May the 10th or something like that. So,
Well, thank you. It's helpful.
And Texas teams will play a GABA games, and whereas maybe Northern Iowa might get, or Western Iowa might get 8 games in a season, somewhere between 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a season. So it just kind of depends on where you are, how much your team wants to play, how much you want to travel, things like that. I think we've got a few gals on our team that they'll play at the home games, but when it comes to travel, they probably, you know, might or might not, you know, or might need to carpool, but it works. We keep a pretty big roster because, you know, sometimes you got to babysit grandkids, or, you know, things come up or someone's got a sore hip or, you know, whatever. But we do keep a pretty good sized roster. So everyone feels, you know, they can still live their lives. And as opposed to some teams, you know, they limit their roster to 12 people and that's it, you know, and it's up to the teams how you do your playing time, et cetera. But we really do encourage teams to play everyone who comes and suits up, and allow folks to play as much as they can or want to.
I had a question. Is the game the event, or is it piggybacked off a high school game and then the grannies play, or what is it? I guess I'm just trying to figure out how you make money.
For charity, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we're talking about the league games. So let me kind of segue a little bit. So let's say in Iowa, and I'm not sure I have this 100% correct, but in Iowa, their practice is, we don't do this in Kansas, I don't know about other states, they kind of have a practice of, okay, our team is hosting on March 1st, and we've invited 5 teams to come in. So if you would, everyone pitch in $3 for each game you're going to play, and that helps us defray the cost of the gym rental and refreshments, et cetera, et cetera. And then anything left over will be donated to our community church or charity, you know, whatever the team has decided. So like gate receipts, if you will.
Okay.
Or there could be a separate bucket for charity and a separate bucket for defraying the gym expense, et cetera. And that we've done some of that. But the fun, these are some of the fun things that could happen. So let's say, for example, let's say you're practicing in a church gym and they're letting you use their gym for free, and you want to do a fundraiser for them to show your appreciation. For example, you could do a charity game, get the publicity around it, play the pastors. There's a really cute someplace, you know, where the grannies play the pastors and they have to play granny basketball rules. You put an oven mitt on their dominant hand, really corn it up. You know, some teams have played police departments and brought them donuts, you know, during a timeout. You know, it's very wholesome family entertainment.
Okay.
And bake sales, silent auction, bake sales, pies, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of ways that teams have been creative in putting together events, and plus it is newsworthy and can get media attention, and people learn about your team. It's kind of a backdoor way of recruiting and letting people know about your team and the good things that you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I thought there was gate receipts and I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I get you now.
Yeah, there's no receipt book like that,
Okay.
but there might be a
Okay.
bucket at the door.
Nice.
The
Okay.
other
Yeah.
thing that we do is they do a 50-50 drawing.
Oh,
And
nice.
so you buy a ticket. And I
Mhm.
have not been to one where the person who won did not give it right back to Granny Basketball.
Mhm,
So they know it's a fundraiser and they're there to give back. So
mhm.
I
Yeah, I
was
saw that
gonna-
happen in Oklahoma. The person who won it just donated it to the church, you know, so it was a,
Hey, Michelle, just to
Great
jump
news.
in here too, is one of the things that hasn't been commented on in when the money part was spoken of. The Granny Basketball League has no paid staff. There are no employees. It is all board volunteers who take on roles. And then the local teams come up with their own people to spread the work, you know, trying to get the many hands to make light loads. And so when you look at what the fees are online to play basketball, those are the fees to cover the insurance, you know, that type of things. So then the costs for the local teams is what the local team does and manages. And so there's different ways with getting the gym space donated. And then, like Michelle said, sometimes by getting the donated gym, well, that's who you want to do a fundraising event for and have the, you know, what you raise go back to them.
Okay, good.
Is there an application process for the grannies?
yes, yes. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Any other questions?
So I wanted to ask you about sponsorship. I mean, are we allowed to get people to sponsor or businesses or whatever to sponsor the teams? You know, like well, for travel expenses or even like for the uniforms at the beginning of the year and everything like that. I mean, are we allowed to get sponsors or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. Patty, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I would share that, well, I'm going to give you a snapshot background. So the teams all turn in a financial report at the end of the year. So based on those reports I have viewed as the treasurer, teams are all over the board about what they do. Literally, some teams, all the costs each time it comes up, they share it among them, you know, and like commented somewhere, people carpool when they can, and you share hotel rooms when you can. You do all those things to keep the costs down. Some people do happen to have folks who will sponsor at various levels. And you know, for smaller pots, some do something bigger. So it's really is a whole mix and match that goes with kind of like it's the culture of your team of what they want to do. Just like Michelle said, the culture of a team might have this expectation that you're there every week at play, whereas the next team might have more players because they know you've got and have other things important in your life. So there's this whole, it depends on the team. But is it out there? Yes.
And is that so when I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but as far as that's because we are a 501c3, we can tell them that it is a charitable donation. The sponsors, that's what I'm talking about.
Sure.
We can say
Yeah,
it's a
so-
charitable donation and they can, I mean, they can write it off. Is that the way that works?
Right, so we're a 501c3 and the National League allows all the local teams to operate under that. So that federal ID number from the national level, you use that to get your bank account. And when somebody does that, there's a, you know, when they give, we still have to follow all those IRS rules that if they're over certain levels, you have to give a letter back to them and things like that. So you might have a little bit of that background, it sounds like, of knowing some things. So right, we have that ability to help you work through all those details. So if
Okay.
that's the direction you go.
Okay.
And just for an example, on our team, I'm on the Fire Ants with Patty. We have just lately in the last couple of years had our bank, Texas First, whatever the name of it is.
Yeah.
A bank is our sponsor. Some of us went to a physical therapist and they wrote a check for $200. So, you know, yeah, you can, whoever you can talk into it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of thinking about, we've got a couple of what I would, well, larger for our community, larger employers.
Yeah,
And I'm going to try and draw from their
yeah,
employee pool,
yeah.
So I'm
sure.
thinking, if we can get some of their employees playing with us, we could say, hey, would you like to sponsor our
Right.
team or something like that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well,
You know, the other thing, while I was chatting, I tossed in when we're asking about the games and when they're scheduled and things like that. And that also is kind of, you heard, it's kind of depends on the team, right? And the state where they're at and the other area teams. And so when we're talking about Texas, and for me, I thought at first, oh, we have the games here at this part of the year, kind of like in the first quarter of the year, because that's when we register and we go. Our team, though, prefers to continue practicing year round, and it's a team bonding. So that whole special feeling, you just like back in high school or whenever somebody might have played, that feeling comes right back with your team. And so we're together all year long, but it's that the game league games happen at one time, but then we do scrimmages and we might have unofficial games with some of the teams and then planning for tournaments. So it really is, again, depends on your team, that type of thing. And when you're starting up new, the idea of maybe your first shots are going to be even exhibition games to try to help raise awareness, or the scrimmages. And those Louisiana team players, my understanding, and Linda would probably know this, but to clarify, they're not in one location in the state. And so a lot of times they show up for a game and they've never practiced. So they really connect when they arrive at the game. So for you starting in an area where you're like, I don't know who to reach out to, well, maybe that's something that you don't have to be afraid of, but you could work something in.
Honey, I'm not afraid. I'm willing to stand at Walmart and Cass, if you look like you're 50 years old, if you don't look like you're 50 years old, I'm going to give you a pamphlet and say, who do you know?
I know that's right.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. And some of the
I've already-
things,
I'm sorry, can I say one? I've
Yep.
already written a mission statement for this whole thing. So I'm ready to go.
Okay.
yeah, in terms of sponsorships, I think, typically a team might want to get a sponsor to help with a banner, a little pop-up banner, something like that, and getting a team logo created.
Yep.
Maybe
Socks.
a jacket or bags, or some of the supplies that you need. Maybe some basketballs. Those can be pricey if you get the nice leather indoor basketballs. So there's a few things. It can. I know when I helped get things started here in Kansas, I invested a little bit in it. Like reserving a gym and for certain dates, so I could start promoting them and inviting people to come out and learn how to play granny basketball. So I paid the gym fee myself, but that's what I invested in because I wanted to play granny basketball. So but if you had a sponsor that could maybe help with some gym rental, that could maybe go a long way to help your team get started. So but anyway, I'll go ahead and start heading towards, we've got 30 more minutes. If you guys can hang in there with us, I'll run through a few more things so we can continue the conversation around new team startup and things that you can do. But I think one thing on the sponsorship is we want to be sure that the focus is on, this is just a Michelle thing, but I just want to be sure that we're not the optics of not so much trying to raise money for your team, but we really want to raise money for charities and fulfill our charitable mission. So just to be careful not to override
Sure.
those
I
optics,
got you.
if you know what I mean. Okay. Any other questions? And I'll pull up the rest of the thing. So I think y'all have an attachment, the checklist for new teams. And there's a lot of links inside here, so you can see just about everything that's mentioned. We have an online file folder, so once you have a new team started and you're a team leader, and we give you the password to our administrative folders, if you will, that all the teams share, so you can get in here and look around a little bit more. And we'll go over that when we have, once you get a new team approved, we'll have a new team orientation with you and introduce all these resources to you. So anyway, hopefully everyone has their checklist. And basically, I know Linda helped in the creation of this list and other teams as well, other team leaders. And so I want to say pretty much the kitchen sink is on this list. So don't let it overwhelm you, but we did try to organize it a little bit by phases, such as just create. And I kind of feel like most of you are in phase one with exploring team interest and maybe starting to ask around, getting some recruitment going. Whoops. So, and then, so once you begin preparing to play, there's some things. So you could peek ahead and look at it all, but I just wanted to share this whole list with you so you can kind of see what can be involved. And I will say, you know, as I really want to applaud you because for your interest in being on this call, because that means that you're interested in doing something that a lot of people really, some people just want to play. They just want the team to be there and exist, and they just show up and play. And it takes a special person or people who are organized, good communicators, willing to do the extra effort, especially the first year, getting your thing set up. And then it's just such a joy. But it does take those special people who are great at being a team leader and pulling their ladies together and creating the experiences that they can have. So let me move on. So some key steps are to review and follow the new team checklist and tell all your friends that you want to start a new team or 2 or 3. Tell the media. We do have sample media releases. I'll be myself, Leanne Scudder, our Director of Engagement, and Jim. We'd be happy to help you with some of these things with sample media releases and ideas for promoting that you guys are trying to get a new team started in your area. Recruit your initial group of players. You don't have to recruit everybody. Really, you need to get at least 6 people, and once you have those 6 people, you'll get more due to their friends, based on their friends and friends of their friends and family members and things like that. I know some of you are in places where you wouldn't be just a drive away. Maybe Chris or Roma would be nearby where they could go watch some games being played. But there's quite a bit online as well. And I've even got a link at the end of the slide deck or the PDF that you all received this afternoon that's got some links to video that you can see. Maybe one of the challenges, depending on your area, would be to find a gym and find out when it would have availability, what the cost might be or might not be. I know in Kansas, we chose Sunday afternoons to play because the gyms were so busy in the evenings, during the week, Saturdays, etc. But by Sunday afternoon, there's not so many kid things being scheduled. So that was a good time for us. I know in Missouri, they play Thursday evenings. So just try to find a time that works for your ladies and a gym that's available that is convenient and affordable. And then once you kind of get your core group of ladies going, having an initial informational meeting, and then submit a new team application form. And I know there's a question about the new team application form, just a little 2-page form. And I believe there's a link to it in the new team checklist. Let me change my view. Can you see the checklist? I changed my view. Did it change for you too?
Yes.
No?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, it did? Okay. Well,
I think go back up.
okay, probably in the first part. Yeah, right there. New team application form. it may not show up, but you can click on that. And I don't know, it's probably not showing up for you, but that link will take you straight to it. So you basically just need 6 names of people who will be on your team. You'll need to identify, where your games will be played and your team name. So that's part of that team meeting is selecting your colors, team names, maybe start to have a conversation about your first charity that you may want to identify, et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, let me go back to the thing. So that's where the form is. So when you're ready, you can fill that out and send it to me. We'll add it to the board agenda. And just so you know, our next board meeting is April 19th. And then we'll have another board meeting in June. So if you feel like you're getting close, let me know, and we'll be sure to get your new team application on the agenda. And then I do want to take a note here because we've had a few questions come up. But as you promote and recruit at this stage, I mean, you're not officially a Granny basketball team yet. So it's just need to be really careful that you're approaching this as an individual, letting people know that you're working toward starting a new Granny basketball team. So be careful about creating any public representation suggesting that you already have a team when it hasn't been approved yet. So I hope that makes sense. But you can work on an individual level, but don't go make a new Facebook page for your new team and all that stuff until the board's approved and you are officially a part of the league. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So anyway, work closely with your league mentors for recruitment strategies and resources. There is a one-time new team fee of $50. And then once you're approved, we'll set up your new team on our website. So you'll have your own team page on our website. And then your team would also be added to our drop-down list for registration so your new players and volunteers can register for your team. And I can show the website here in a minute if you'd like. Our uniforms are custom made to fit. The collars are made by our seamstress in Wichita, Kansas, and all collars must be purchased through the league. We use standard uniform numbers, 2 digits, 0 through 5. You may see in some of the videos and pictures some uniform numbers with 3 digits or, 495 or, numbers above 5. But there's a couple of stories there. One is in the early days of the league, every player used to have a unique number. So it got up to the hundreds. So we were into 3 digits. And then at some point, that just didn't make sense. We just needed to make sure each player had a unique number on their team. So we kind of reined it back in where it's 2 digits. Anyway, just wanted to mention that if you do see some 3-digit numbers, but those are grandmothered. And so once that granny retires, those collars cannot be passed on.
Michelle,
Yes.
what's the cost of the uniforms?
It's about $75 for both the collar and the bloomers.
Okay, thank you.
I think the collar's $35, and that includes shipping. And the bloomers are 30 or 40. 35 and 40.
Yep.
And so you can make your own bloomers, or you send in when you order. There's a place to enter your measurements, and it tells you what all to measure. So if you do want to make your own bloomers or have seamstress make your own bloomers, that's fine. But we do have some specifications that we can share, or just order them. And I think she usually has them out within 2 to 3 weeks.
All the bloomers are black, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We use a black broadcloth, and I've got the fabric. It's really sad that Joann's Fabrics is going out of business everywhere. I think we'll still be able to order it online from what I understand from our seamstress. But we do have a fabric that we recommend.
Is it regular white blouses?
Okay. The blouses, the players can get on their own. They need to be at least cover your elbows, and plain white, no logos, no frilly stuff. I think some in Iowa, you'll see a lot of the ladies wear like a white men's shirt with a sleeves rolled up. I like to go to the thrift store and just get a 3/4 length cotton shirt and kind of like with the scoop neck, and it works just great. I don't know. There's some other players on the call what their ideas are, but yeah, everyone just comes up with their own shirt, and the team has the socks, and then each player has a custom collar and a custom bloomers.
And we pick our own socks that we want for our teams.
Yes, you're on your own for your socks, and then pinafores.
And the socks have the team name or logo on it.
Yes, and the pinafores can too. We do have we have had some custom socks with logos and team names and things like that on them, but the collars cannot be adorned. And there's, I think, a stripe down the side of the bloomers could be added. Like let's say your team color is orange, you could do an orange stripe down the side of your bloomers. I think about a 1/2 inch thick, a trim if you wanted to. Not very many teams do that, but it's an option.
That's good.
Let me say something about socks. The Fire Ants formed in 2014, and we went through several different types of socks, but the best one was the last order that we had. They're going to last a long time because they're actually embroidered. They're not printed on or dyed on or whatever you call it. So they were expensive, but they were worth it. So I can get you that information through our team treasurer if you like.
Okay.
And another note on socks is some women have larger calves than others. And we did really well trying to find a wide calf or a really stretchy socks. So we had one of the pairs of socks that we went through were really rigid and tight, and it was hard for a couple of our ladies to wear. Okay. Anyway, Leanne and I and others could jump on a new team orientation call once we get your team approved, and we'll go through a lot more of the details about kind of it's in the checklist, getting you guys all ready to go, and then we'll play.
Okay.
So, Linda, do you want to kind of talk about the equipment needed for a team? Some things to think about.
Well, looks pretty complete there. You do want to make sure that you get a woman-sized ball. Some people aren't aware that there is such a thing, but yeah, 28.5. And it's very interesting though when you get basketballs. Like I have some old basketballs that cost $10 that last longer as far as being pumped up than some of the more expensive ones. So sometimes it doesn't matter how much you spend, I guess. It's in terms of whistles, it's kind of nice if you have practice and you have everybody take their turn at being a referee, whether or not they're official or not, just because that kind of gives you sort of more of an awareness of what the referees go through and what the rules are. So everybody should have a whistle, I guess. That's a goal. Scorekeeping forms, they're very well described, and the use of the scorekeeping for the scorekeepers. Online, we have a little workshop that's about a little over an hour. So it doesn't take a lot of time, but you'll be much more informed going through that rather than have someone just come in and sit down and start scorekeeping for the first time.
Do y'all provide the forms?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we provide the electronic file, and then you can print them.
Right,
Yeah.
that's fine, yeah.
Yeah. And then the floor tape can be painter's tape if your rec center or whatever gym allows. Ours doesn't. So we've had, people don't like them very well because they don't stay in place, but just floor markers that are plastic that are about 3 inches by 12 inches or something. So you can get what?
What's that used for?
Well, you have to have 3 feet from the outline of the court, because you can't go in the 3 foot inside the 3 foot line, or you'll turn over the game and to the team. And so you have to mark also the center, where the centers are very often, because that's not there on most teams, for the grannies anyway. The coach,
So
clipboard.
Linda, I'm sorry to interrupt you, just about the floor tape. Can you kind of give an idea of, like, do you have a diagram of how much is needed? Like, I'm just thinking of my gym floor, like what would I need to put on that? And you know, as the person who kind of manages it, I'm always like yelling at people to not put stuff on my floor. So
Mhm.
Well, it's a lot of work if you visit nationals or any of the multi games that we have, you'll kind of see what goes on. But it's a big job to tape the floor. Some people will alternate tape, then another couple feet, and then tape, another couple feet and tape, so that people can keep track of where they're supposed to be standing. And then you want to expand the center court line that usually is painted on. And so that you just use the tape to put down usually, well, I shouldn't say usually, no matter what color it is, like blue or yellow at the center line that you want, you just extend that out from what was already painted. So I don't know, that's probably confusing, but
is there
interject to add a little bit more for you? So think again about, we got our rectangular court into 3 sections. There are almost every gym you go in, you know how there's lines for volleyball, there's lines for this or whatever. There's usually certain lines that are on there enough to get the basics of your center divided off, that center section, but they often don't go all the way to the outer lines, the whole outer. So you have to add to them. And then part of the rules are that when you go to throw the ball in, from out of bounds, you have to be back 3 feet from the line. So therefore you need to have some type of marking that's 3 feet in. And so again, you may or may not have markings on your gym floor already. So it, depending on where you're practicing, depends on what you need to do, because it's not a perfect, there it goes.
okay. That's
So
easier.
it doesn't show the 3 foot line in there, but the idea of, you can see the 3 sections, and knowing that you have to be 3 feet away from the line when it's being thrown in from out of bounds. Again, every court is marked differently, and it's all over the board. We actually have a team in Harker Heights, Texas, where they actually taped or redid the gym, and they have all their markings on the floor. But then the next team, you have almost nothing.
Okay. Just kind of looking quickly at that diagram, I mean, we have so many lines on our gym floor. That would be helpful to maybe take out. And I think we probably have that 3 foot buffer because we have a painted area where even our high school girls they're back from that. So yeah, is that diagram on the website?
It's in the referee handbook.
Referee handbook. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, one thing I'll interject for you, Jean, is that a lot of courts have that really wide, all around the outside. Instead of a narrow, they get a really wide.
Yeah.
That's still the out of bounds. No,
Okay.
on the inner side of the court is the out of bounds. So you go into the court 3 feet to do your
Okay.
3 foot markings.
Okay.
And a lot of times, how you take a big court gym and you split them into 2 smaller. A lot of times those markings help you out too. So it really is, it's surprisingly not as hard as you think. And when you get to that point, you got somebody who can help you out to talk details.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I accidentally hung up myself. I'm back. I'm glad the meeting didn't stop. Okay, it's 8:20. So anyway, I think everyone has a list. We do have a form that we ask each team captain, advisory board reps to have their players fill out. It's an emergency medical contact form. I think there's a link to it in the checklist. But just like put it in a luggage tag and hang it from the side of your gym bag, just in case of emergency, break glass. We have your medical information and emergency contact, etc. We do collect emergency contact information when people register, and we share that back out with the teams. But if you've got someone new or don't have that list with you, etc., it's nice to have that information. Plus, there's some places to say whether you have a hearing aid or dentures or a knee replacement or blood type, things like that, that might be helpful for the emergency responders to know. Or, if you've got other situations that health providers might need to know. So it's not visible to everyone else, but if we need it, it's hanging on your gym bag and so we can help. It's kind of saying, let us help you.
Yeah.
So Linda, anything else on this list before we move on?
Oh, I think it's pretty explanatory, really. Starting lineup form. I think that's explained on the workshop for the scorekeeping people. You want to start. We started with forwards for a while in the early years, and now we start with numerically ordering people on the roster
by uniform number.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you might have someone who plays a guard that also plays a forward, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the drill book or drills or anything like that?
Well, everybody kind of has their own in a way, but there's a lot available online, and you can kind of experiment according to the needs of your team, I guess.
Right.
So.
Yeah, passing is a big deal. Good passes are really important in granny basketball. A lot of players don't understand pivoting or double dribbles. I'm surprised so many times how many people that have been even playing for a while don't understand what a double dribble is. So there's a lot of basic things, even though you can only dribble twice in a game per possession, but you still need to be able to handle the ball and pass well and shoot and guard and footwork and all that. I might say too, also on equipment, and I've just noticed this with new players, but as you recruit and start talking to your ladies, really take a look at the tennis shoes and really encourage that women wear basketball tennis shoes that are really designed for the court surface. We had a couple falls at kind of like one of the first league games that we had about a month ago with new players, and looked at their shoes, and they're the runner's shoes or something that'd be great to go on a hike in, and they just really were not the best shoes for the basketball court, and they just tripped and fell down. Nothing happened, but I mean, in terms of causing other than maybe, switching directions or something. But that's just something really important, I think, personally for each player, is be sure they've got the right shoes. Mm-hmm. Jim, you want to talk about this picture on the bottom right-hand corner about our granny basketball? Jim's on the line with us still.
Absolutely. Those are basketballs that we get made. We have a Sporting's good store. I think it's up in northern Iowa that puts the granny basketball logo on the Spalding ball. They're really good balls. They're leather balls. They're for indoor use. But those are available through the league.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey, but very, very nice. And when your the home team's responsible for providing the game ball, and this is pretty much a standard for what we play with, is this type of a ball. It doesn't have to be this ball, but this type of a ball. Okay, thank you. All right, so officiating. I mentioned this a little earlier, but each team needs at least 3 certified referees and 3 scorekeepers. I think on my team, we started out with 3 refs, and we now have 5, which is really nice. But we've got 17 people on our team too. So But anyway, kind of the certification process includes learning the rules and watching a brief training video, taking a 50-question multiple choice exam. And then, so kind of there's the academic part of it, if you want to call it that, just testing your knowledge of the rules. And then there's an experiential part where refereeing 2 games with a certified mentor. So that would be like shadowing the first game. So like the first half of that game would be following a certified referee around and letting her talk in your ear while describing what she's doing and why. And then the second half of the game, it's a reverse shadow. She would tag along behind you, still in your ear. And then the second game, you would actually take a spot. We have 3 referees officiate each game. So on the second game, they would actually take a spot and get that experience. And then during quarter breaks, timeouts, things like that, there's a huddle and discussing what we're seeing, things like that. So it's not too hard, but that's our process. Not everyone's geared up to be a referee, but try to find the right people who would like to do that. It would be great. We also have a referee oversight committee, and we have coordinators available geographically to help along the way.
I would make a recommendation. Husbands, so I'm a husband, and they can referee, or you can get, like we talked earlier, kids who are over 18. Sometimes if you go to the Iowa games, you might have 3 or 4 games on a day. I think one thing, we have an advantage. We have 2 of the husbands that are referees for our team. So, if you don't have that, then players are playing 4 games and they may be reffing 3 games. That's a lot. I think it would be a lot for me. And so if you can find, your husbands to do it, or grandkids, or, kids who will go out and do it. I think that's an advantage for some of the teams that, have non-players as their referees.
Yeah, it's really nice that we can tap the non-players for helping us out on other games and stuff from time to time. Hopefully no one would ever have to referee 3 games in a day. I've done it, but not when you're playing. But hopefully, you get to play 2 or 3 games and maybe ref 1. Hopefully, if you end up being reffing 2 games, it might be that you're on championship day and we really need you, so it would be kind of a rare thing to have to ref too much, but it is good. I really liked Linda's suggestion of reffing even at practice and practice reffing and not call it like you would in a game and not give slack during just because it's practice, because we all know you play like you practice and you only get 3 fouls, so it's important to be sure you're doing it right. So here's a few examples of hovering, impeding, and contact that's not allowed. Gil is on the left, but our tall player. It's just really, if you're shorter, you've really got an advantage of maybe trying to draw a hovering foul. But sometimes if people can't get their arms up all the way, we just need to kind of coach them to take a step back, make sure that they're not over someone's force field going to the ceiling. And we really do encourage a gentler form of the game. We don't want people getting bumped and knocked over. Granny, I've heard it say that Granny basketball is a media magnet. I think, especially as a new team gets started, getting that effort started in your area, there's a lot of people have never heard of it, and it's just a great way to get some publicity and help get the word out about Granny basketball. We do have a page on our website called In the News, and you can take a look at a lot of the coverage that teams have received. It's pretty impressive. So we hope you'll want to be a part of Granny basketball. It's a team of the Lewisburg Tonics and just south of Kansas City. And then in your PDF, if you click on the link here, it will actually show the video, so you can take a look at those. I don't think it'll work for me sharing my screen right now, but you can take a look. And this one has a nice video, or former executive director Jane Suter is describing to the media the game. And this was just a little warm-up game. I think at Nationals in Norman a few years ago, she was describing how the game is played. So that's kind of a nice one. Take a little time to watch as well. And then if you would like, we do have, this is a yard sign that we can send you the electronic file. So if you want to have a few of these made, a few yard signs made at your local printer, you can get that from me. I can send you the file. And then we also have our website. So just want to encourage you to take a look at that, and especially the Do You Want to Play area. So, and then here's contact information for myself and Jim and Linda and Leanne. I wasn't able to join us tonight, I don't think, but she would be very helpful for you once you get your team going and get it approved. You'd be working closely with Leanne. So we'll stop there for additional questions.
So I'm interested in doing it, but I need more steps, like somebody to actually help me write out a plan. Are you guys available for that? Because I don't know much about the inside part of basketball. I just know basketball has been like a mother of basketball players. But I have a ton of older people around me. So, but as far as the plan, are you guys able to like help me with the plan on how to set everything up step by step?
Sure, Sherika, we can have another conversation and go kind of understand where you're at and who else you have to help and things like that. And I think that checklist will be a good place to start. But sure, yeah, just reach out when you're free and we can connect and get Jim and Leanne involved perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
So
You
it
bet.
sounds like you just want some help setting up your practice times. Is that what?
Well, I guess I need help with like, because I have to come up with like a game plan is like far as putting it out there, recruiting, being able to explain the physicalities of the game and everything, of how the game is actually played. I mean, I got the layout and with their uniforms and all that stuff, but I'm going to older ladies, and wanted to, have them join the team, but we all know that a lot of ladies in the, older age, most of us that have kids or bad knees or anything, So we want to know how bad can this get, or what is this gonna entail, or how many people am I gonna be playing with? But I got what you guys said about, the numbers and everything, but I guess I'm trying to put it in my mind how it's set up and everything. Like, for instance, like with the 3 courts, how, how that's that. Look, I'm not the sports broadcaster person, so I'm like 3 courts. How is that set up when it's like, I'm like, all right, 2. So is somebody gonna be playing in the middle part? I'm trying to put it all in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to visualize, isn't it?
Yeah, you kind of have this high level right now, but it sounds like you need kind of a one-on-one to kind of bounce the idea and get a better idea about what it is.
Yeah.
And how it goes between the game, between recruitment, and how do you kind of put it together? Kind of like somebody who's been through it recently would probably be helpful. And Michelle knows some of the newer teams that are probably more successful doing it, or different ones as they're trying to get up. But I know by us, a new team was this last year, the Bayou Ballers.
Okay.
And in Houston. And so they got going, one person, and she kind of did that sponsorship to pay to get some stuff off the ground. And then when they came their first game, it was actually kind of cute because, they're trying to learn everything fast, the rules, but all the rest of the teams are coming together to help them explain, and you try to put it high level. And then they had some of their guys who were there to support them, and they suddenly on the spot became their coaches right there at that game, and helping out and cheering them on and helping them know what to do. So I think you're going to find a lot of support, but that's kind of what it sounds like when I listen to what you say. Is somebody like that they can get somebody connected with you and help out.
Yeah.
And I will say to the group, one of the things like talking about in my team, that I think if you're going to be the main person starting the team where you're at, one of the key things we felt like in our team that was important to know is you need to decide, and where you get a gym is going to be part of that decision. Are you a team that practices during the day and or only in the evenings? Are your games only in the evenings and weekends? Can you have games during the day? That's going to impact the players that come, because if people are still working and they're not going to be able to come if you're practicing during the day. So every team's different. And in the area I'm at in Texas, our team wants to do practices in the afternoons, and we do games on Saturdays or during the day. Another team that's about half hour away, they have people who work, and everything for them happens in the evening or the weekend. So I would suggest really give that strong consideration and who you're going after, whether they're working or not working, and what the gym availability is.
Okay.
Do you guys have a kind of a stock presentation PowerPoint, like when we go out to do, community presentations for recruitment events? Like, is there something that's already existing to use, or is that something that we can, just put together on our own? Has that been done before as a tool for community events for recruitment?
Jeannie, we do like the PowerPoint that we've got today. I mean, we could do a smaller version of that. And actually kind of how the first PowerPoint got going was because Gail, who was an employee at the Lawrence Parks and Rec, there was a statewide Parks and Rec conference, and she got on this program, and she and I tag teamed to deliver a presentation to the Parks and Recs across the state. And so we were a breakout session. So that kind of started it. But yeah, all these numbers and, but so that's available. I think probably between that but just trying to get people to see it played like an exhibition game, etc. I know you're in Washington. It's a lot easier for the Texas folks, for example, because there's a lot of resources nearby. So like with those, Virginia, Washington, Canada, and others, you're kind of isolated and not people just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But we could certainly do everything we can to try to help you from afar.
Yeah.
And I think and I remember in Missouri, we had the rule book, and we're just sitting there in the gym reading the pages, trying to envision what it looks like to play. But there's a lot more online now, that you can see and observe. So with the news stories and things like that, I think you can get a sense of that. But
I think it's mostly, I'm not necessarily putting in the plan yet to go do that type of stuff. Since I've got a pretty good network to pull from, but it was intriguing to me to think about doing that simply because it would be fun to outreach in the community versus just pulling from my circle of people I already know. So great.
Yeah, we've got a PowerPoint we could send you, and then you could just add whatever you want to do, about the local, locally. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
Okay. So that Granny Basketball League brochure that they put out, to me, that is one of the best things, because you print it off, you fold it up, and you just start handing it out.
Yeah, that's what
I made some little, just printed them off, just little cards with my name, Granny Basketball, that I'm trying to, something similar to that right there.
I've handed out a lot of these.
And just, if I see people in the post office, I've got them in my pocket. I said, hey, I'm telling you, I'm not shy about I'll approach anybody if they look like a female, So,
Yeah,
but,
another thing too, if you keep these in your car
Yep.
glove compartment, so you have them on hand wherever you go. So that's a good.
those are the best thing because that tells you everything you need to know from the rules, just a short version of the rules and the uniforms
Mhm.
and everything about it
Well, where did you get those from, though?
off the website.
Website.
The website?
Off
Yeah.
the website. Yeah.
They were an attachment in the Zoom with the Zoom info that I first
No,
sent
I
out.
got them off of the website before
Yeah.
before
Yeah, they're
that.
on the website too.
And then I just had multiple copies made through Minuteman Press here.
There you
I
go.
think I had 50 or something like that. And then this is also on the website. But you put in whatever is your information.
Okay.
Just nice to
But
have.
we can,
Okay.
but if any contacts come to me and say, hey, I'm heard about Granny basketball, I'm in the Seattle area, for example, I would forward it to Jeannie, and then you can follow up with them.
Yeah.
We get a lot. I get many emails every week, people in different places asking if there's a team near them.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, okay, so everybody ready to get out there and
Yeah.
but I really do wish you luck. And if you are interested in starting a team, I do have a spreadsheet with contacts over the last year or two of people that have reached out. And if there was not a team, at least I held on to their contact info. So if you are in an area that you're interested in starting a new team, I'll be very happy to send a message out to those individuals and ask them to contact you so that maybe they can connect and help with your recruitment.
Please send one for me. So I'm in Lonesome, Virginia over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to have one too in Pennsylvania.
If you guys at all could come to national tournament, that would be great. I think you would learn a lot and meet
I
a lot.
will be there.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
in
looking at you.
July.
I want your phone number.
And that's in July in Texas, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, in Fort Worth.
Okay. Is that information on the flyer that you sent tonight?
No, it's on our website. If you go to games,
Tournaments.
and then tournaments, and then nationals, and there's a whole page with all the information there.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the slides that Michelle had up showing the homepage, it showed a few things, and one of them is about the national logo. It's a purple and it says national, and if you click on that, it'll take you into there. So there's, your typical already planning where there are places to reserve hotel rooms and submit information.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
So, and hopefully you'll have a team, and so let's say, just hypothetically, let's say you get your team, and maybe you've got 6 people registered, or 7 or 8. Maybe you have a small start of a team. I'm sorry. A couple of scenarios could be that either you or a few people want to come to nationals. It might be there's some teams needing some more players, and you could join with them. Or you could combine with another team so you have enough, and the officials, etc. I'm going to go on mute. I'm coughing.
Yeah, nationals is not a qualifying national. Anybody, if you have a team, you can go, just so you know that.
Hey, Linda, I'll put my number in the chat if you want it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I have phone numbers for everybody, so I don't think
there
it'll
it
show
is.
up on the recording, but if you would, be sure I have your phone number so we can reach out. I think everybody has our contact info.
Yes.
So when we pass out the flyers, are we getting like an additional number so folk won't have our main numbers and things like that?
I would say,
A
right
Google
now,
number?
just kind of being that carefulness about, putting yourself out there as having a team yet. I would say let's keep it with our national office contact information for now. And then once you are an approved team, you can customize it to your team and your contact info.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry we ran over a little bit, and um, I wish you all the best of luck. Please reach out and let us know what you're thinking, and if you think you want to move forward or set some SMART goals, if you will, about whether you want to try and get a team started and about when, like whether right away or this fall, or try to get ready for maybe tournaments later this year or fall activities, and or trying to get ready to do some league play early next year. So they'll be happy to work with you on whatever timeline you might be on, and wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thanks a
for
lot,
doing this.
Michelle.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.